Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am your host, Money Mike, and today is Forbidden Door, the annual event that AEW introduced to bring the world of AEW and New Japan together. But ever since then, fans have been asking what would a AEW and WWE Forbidden Door pay-per-view or premium live event look like. And other than Triple H and Tony Khan going back and forth on whether to call it a pay-per-view or a premium live event, what matches would we see in the 2024 edition of WWE versus AEW Forbidden Door? And for this concept, for this booking, I am going to take injuries into account. For me, I could go hog wild and go John Cena, Kenny Omega, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic versus Buddy Murphy and Julia Hart. I could do all, Charlotte Flair, Britt Baker, all these things where I could just go hog wild and not take injuries into account. But if the pay-per-view premium live event was happening tonight, the superstars that are available, who do I have that I could use for this show? Which means we aren't going to get CM Punk on this show. So even though I made this cool graphic here for CM Punk versus Jack Perry, unfortunately, that match can't happen because, again, CM Punk is not medically cleared right now. So, with injuries taken into account, I have made a 14-match card that realistically this would take place over 2 nights. And hopefully y'all like it. If you don't, comment below and tell me what matches you would book on a AEW WWE Forbidden Door show. So, before we get into all that though, hit that like and subscribe button today as we are going to be busy this week on the channel as we head into Money in the Bank this Saturday, as I will be live streaming Money in the Bank this Saturday. I was going to do a live stream for Forbidden Door, but because of the issues I had with my live stream during Clash of the Castle, I wanted to hold off on the AEW live stream because I wanted to make sure everything is fixed before Money in the Bank this Saturday. And also, I will have a video talking about the Bloodline. I will rebook the Money in the Bank winners, who should have won, who should have lost. So hit that like and subscribe button today. But let's go ahead and dive into the 2024 edition of AEW versus WWE Forbidden Door. Now, let's start this off here with a personal favorite of mine that I hope we get, maybe, if Bryan Danielson decides to come back to WWE. His contract is up in August, but I think he's going to have a working deal to get through Wrestle Dream in Seattle. But that could mean that if he wants to listen to Triple H and WWE and maybe come back, he could come back at the 2025 Royal Rumble, making this match a possibility. But because of this being in the concept of now, this will be a Forbidden Door match. And, it's Bryan Danielson, it's Gunther, 7 stars, whatever Meltzer's going to rate it. This is a good match. This is what I would want to see if he does come back to WWE. And imagine if Gunther is the World Heavyweight Champion and you bring back Daniel Bryan to challenge Gunther, and he would put over Gunther, but still, I mean, this is a dream match that a lot of fans would want to see, and something that I want to see personally. If he were to come back to WWE. So yeah, Danielson, Gunther, it's the first match here on the card. Next up, we go into some tag team action as our EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, go up against the reunited Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, obviously, these four, they're good friends behind the scenes, which is why I'm putting them together, because I know that these four are going to put on a great match. You know, if you think back to the Usos and Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, back at WrestleMania, this is kind of that's the kind of match we would get out of this. To me, I think this is the best pairing. I could have put the Young Bucks in the uh, War Games match, but I felt like, to me, again, there were so many good singles matches that you could have done in tag team matches that essentially, I was like, I'd rather do the singles and tag team matches instead of jumbling people up into the War Games match. So, yeah, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus the Young Bucks. Logan Paul versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is one of the top baby faces in AEW. He is facing Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Title. And Logan Paul is one of the most hated heels in WWE. Therefore, it's a perfect match. Plus, honestly, the in-ring skills of Logan Paul, matching with the in-ring ability of Will Ospreay, these two would put on a clinic. This is a match that, to me, a lot of people fantasy book Will Ospreay against Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, whoever else. But for me, I think Logan Paul would be a better fit for Will Ospreay if this were to be an actual match. And as much as I don't like Logan Paul as a person, he's really picked up, professional wrestling quicker than a lot of people usually do. I think this is probably the first. Logan Paul probably is in the same vein of Kurt Angle, where Kurt Angle really picked up on professional wrestling early in his career when he debuted, and Logan Paul, same thing. I mean, he's had completely insane matches from the beginning, and yeah, these two would just be on another level, man. These two, I could probably watch these two put on a match, multiple matches. In an interview that Ric Flair did, he was asked who the next Randy Orton is, and he said it was MJF. And so, yeah, let's put MJF against the real Randy Orton. MJF, Randy Orton, this match is basically inspired by Ric Flair's interview comments. And I think, to me, you would get a very good match out of this. And if WWE really wanted to see if MJF would translate to the WWE style, putting him against one of the superstars that you could essentially say have the nickname of Mr. WWE, it's Randy Orton. And that would be a good test for MJF, because I would like to see kind of how he would do in a promo battle against some of the WWE top superstars. And especially now that, a lot of people were worried, oh, it's a PG and a PG rating and MJF is going to be toned down. Well, it's not PG anymore. I mean, technically, yes, but WWE is moving away from that, and I think that will benefit MJF if he were to cross over to WWE in the build up to this match. So for me, Randy Orton, MJF, I think this is going to be a great match. And I think the promos could be even better, which could mean that the build up might be a little bit better than the match itself, but yeah, Randy Orton, MJF. I mean, hey, if you're going to be called the next Randy Orton, why not face the real Randy Orton? Bailey thankfully helped me out with this because she did an interview and she was asked who she would want to face, and she named Chris Statlander. And I'm just going to combine these two matches here together. I'm just going to throw this up here. Mercedes versus Trish. To me, there's a whole women's locker room in AEW that has not said thank you, Trish. And I think you take that gimmick of what Trish was doing as a heel, and you bring that over to where Trish is wanting a whole other locker room to say thank you to her. And then you have Mercedes kind of like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then you could do some fun stuff in the build up where you have Mercedes and Bailey teaming up in a tag team match against Statlander and Trish. Again, I could have made this a tag team match, but I think the singles matches are better than the tag match. I think the tag match would be for like the go home show or something. But yeah, Trish, Mercedes, I think Trish shown in her feud with Becky that she still has a little bit left in the tank. And I still kind of want Trish to have one more title run in WWE. So, putting her up against Mercedes, having Statlander, with Bailey, and I think these two matches would be absolutely great from a story perspective. And, I'd be interested to see kind of how Trish would be perceived by the AEW audience, or how Bailey would be perceived as well. But yeah, the crossover dynamic here would be very interesting. Because let's be honest. The AEW WWE Forbidden Door is a pay-per-view premium live event, and of course that means I have to give TV time to Chris Jericho. And yeah, this might be one of the weaker matches on the card, but I mean, you can't really exclude Chris Jericho from this card. And I think you play off of the star power and that everybody knows that Montez Ford has, to be a singles competitor. And you play off of that with Jericho, healing it up, saying, trying to get into Montez's head that Bobby is holding him back, Dawkins is holding him back. Come to the learning tree. And, whatever. Like, you tease Montez turning heel, but you play off of that, and the whole learning tree gimmick kind of works with a young talent like Montez Ford, to where he's trying to recruit younger WWE talent to the learning tree in the build up to all of this. So yeah, I'm just going to do that because I think that's probably the best fit for Jericho on this card, given the current gimmick that he has of the learning tree. Moving back to the women's matches here, and you'll kind of see where I'm going with the Judgment Day and their match based off of this one. But Liv Morgan versus Julia Hart. Again, Rhea Ripley being injured, I can't use her, so I have Liv Morgan kind of taking her place. And again, this also goes into the whole Liv Morgan wanting to take everything from Rhea Ripley, because you could have her interact with Buddy Murphy. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Judgment Day versus House of Black. Again, Dominic having promos with Buddy Murphy and, given the real life dynamics of Buddy and Rhea being married. And yeah, that would be some good promos. Plus, we get Finn, Aleister Black, former NXT champions. You have Brody King. You have Damian Priest. I think Brody King and Damian Priest having a face-off would be interesting. So yeah, you get this dynamic here of the Judgment Day and the continuation of Liv and Rhea and how it crosses into real life with Buddy Murphy, and you get the idea here. Now, sticking again to the women, and to me, I needed to include NXT and Ring of Honor, so I put Athena and Roxanne Perez. Both of them are, well, Roxanne's the current NXT Women's Champion, but Athena, when she was Ember Moon in WWE, is a former NXT Women's Champion in her own right. So, to me, this match makes sense, and this does get NXT and Ring of Honor on the card. Even though I do have another NXT superstar on the card in the War Games match. Let's all go back to All In last year. Jack Perry, CM Punk, they had a brawl. They fought over real glass. Who knows what would happen if that didn't happen? Well, for Drew McIntyre, he probably is World Heavyweight Champion because CM Punk may not have left AEW. He may not have been released or fired, whatever you want to say. And he would be in AEW, meaning that Drew McIntyre would not have been screwed out of the world title at WrestleMania. He would have been the world champion going into Clash at the Castle, and potentially be the World Heavyweight Champion right now. But because Jack Perry did what he did, it led a domino effect that has caused Drew McIntyre to go into this downward spiral, and Drew McIntyre here gets his revenge at Forbidden Door as he just Claymore kicks Jack Perry for getting CM Punk fired and blames Jack Perry for everything that has happened to him. And then you have CM Punk, who I could have slotted in as a special guest referee, is sitting there probably watching this match going, I hate Jack Perry, I hate Drew McIntyre. You know what? I'm not going to cost either one of them the match. I'm just going to watch them two beat the crap out of each other. So, yeah, Drew McIntyre has every reason to fight Jack Perry in this Forbidden Door card, as he can blame him for CM Punk coming back to WWE. Now, like I said, there are several superstars you could say that are Mr. WWE, and of course, John Cena is one of them. And to me, that means John Cena has to face somebody who is technically a face of a wrestling promotion. Now, it was easy to, like I said, I gave MJF to Randy Orton. So for this one, I'm going to go Okada. Because, to me, I think I would be very curious to see how John Cena would translate fighting someone from New Japan, or with the New Japan background. And obviously with Nakamura, he did face Nakamura a couple years ago, but again, Nakamura was already kind of trained into the WWE style. Okada has never been to WWE, so Okada, not having that WWE style, in his background, so to speak, so John Cena coming over to fight Okada, it would be very interesting to see that dynamic of how Cena would adjust in this match. And To me, I think Okada would win this match, but to me, Okada, Cena, it writes itself. Meet Madness Fatal 4-Way, ladies and gentlemen. I have Otis, Braun Breaker, Lance Archer, and Wardlow. Meet Madness 4-Way, WWE, AEW. To me, this was the Meet Madness. AEW wanted to do this match back at Revolution, but injuries kind of prevented it. So we're going to get it here. And Ivar was going to be in this match, but he's injured, so I had to go with Otis instead. But yeah, I think this would be an interesting dynamic because you have kind of Wardlow, who's been on these on and off pushes, or these start and stop pushes. And then you kind of see Braun Breaker on Raw and what he's doing, and Braun's kind of like, "Ha, hey Wardlow, I got your push. I'm getting pushed the way you should have been pushed." And that whole dynamic, I think to me, like Biggie would say, you know, big men slapping meat, or whatever that quote is. That's basically the premise of this match. And last but not least, the main event, night 2 of Forbidden Door, a WWE versus AEW War Games, or Blood and Guts. Anyway, this was the match I had trouble with the most because I was moving people in and out. And yeah, there's no women's War Games match, but again, I feel like with the injuries and stuff, that kind of derailed what I wanted to do with the women's War Games match. But we are getting this men's War Games match to close out the show, and yeah, this was the only way that I could put all 3 members of the Shield in the same match and have Cody and Dustin in the same match. So, Team WWE, you have, of course, our Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, main event, Jey Uso, Seth frickin' Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and I put the NXT champion Trick Williams in this match just because, Trick Williams is a rising star in WWE, and this would be a good way to showcase him on this card. Because I could have done Trick versus Swerve, but I didn't want, or Cody versus Swerve, whatever, champion versus champion, but I didn't want to do that. So I just threw him into the War Games match. And then on Team AEW, you have Jon Moxley, you have Hangman, you have Swerve, you have Darby Allin, and Dustin Rhodes. So here's the thing. I think both sides, obviously right now, Roman Reigns is going to come back as a mega over babyface, and I will talk about that either tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on when this video comes up. But if I'm using the current personas, current characters, and storylines, you do have that dynamic of Cody and Roman being on the same team, Roman and Seth being on the same team. Can they coexist? Blah, blah, blah. And plus we know Jey and Roman. So basically, the whole team WWE has issues with everybody. Except for Trick Williams, who was just kind of like, hey, let's try to win this match. But, they're all infighting. But also, AEW has infighting on their own because Hangman and Swerve don't like each other. Moxley and Hangman don't like each other. And Dustin, and Darby are just there. I mean, Darby's there to do all the crazy high spots and the insane crazy spots. But yeah. So, comment below. What do you think of my 14 match card that would take place over 2 nights? in a WWE versus AEW Forbidden Door show. I've been your host, Money Mike. This has been Ringside Cinema, and join me later all this week for Money in the Bank content, ending with a live stream of Money in the Bank on Saturday.
Ringside Cinema, living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers the heroes we know. Ringside forever bold. Wrestling never gets old.